In 1999, the Ferrari 360 came into production, replacing the older Ferrari 355. It's got an all-new aluminum body and smooth curves that replace the more edgy cars of the 90s. Now, I miss the days where numeric naming conventions actually make sense. Ferrari 360, 3.6-liter engine. It features a complex 5-valve four-cylinder V8, which produces 400 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque. For the Spider variant with a 6-speed manual transmission featured in this car, 0 to 60 happens in 4.4 seconds. The Ferrari 360 is the 163rd Ferrari designed by Pininfarina. Not exactly a special number, but there's no denying that it's absolutely beautiful. Especially compared to the 355, a car produced from 1999 still looks basically like a modern Ferrari, apart from not having fancy LED headlights. Now, Ferrari has moved away from Pininfarina. The 488 was designed completely in-house, and Pininfarina has moved on to designing Coca-Cola machines. The air intakes that dominate the front fascia of the 360 are more than just a stylistic choice. Of course, they channel air to the radiators, but they also channel air underneath the underbody and out past the rear diffuser that increases downforce up to 400 pounds at 180 miles an hour without the use of a rear wing. Because of the 360's larger dimensions than the 355, the interior is a lot more spacious. Ferrari actually took taller users in mind when designing the interior. It's very driver-focused, you've got a center-mounted tachometer, and of course this has the infamous gated 6-speed manual transmission. The steering wheel feels like it's straight out of a go-kart. It's very nice to the touch. There's actually no horn in the middle, this is just an airbag. The horns are mounted on the side, so you can play a nice little jingle as you pass the people on the side of you, going much slower. The handling in the 360 is absolutely incredible. The chassis is 40% stiffer than the outgoing 355, and it's got front and rear double wishbone suspension. And with this go-kart style steering wheel, man, this is a blast. Feels very light on its feet, a lot more nimble than the Gallardo. And that gated shifter is just an absolute blast. Because of the way the gated shifter looks, it appears like it would be difficult to use. But in fact, every gear change slides in with a beautiful clink, and it is so satisfying. I've driven two 360s with the F1 gearbox, and the manual is far and away better, despite the fact that the F1 shifts very crisply, and it's a little bit more refined than Lamborghini's E-gear transmission. Despite having a rear-wheel drive layout, there is a ton of mechanical grip. It's really confidence-inspiring in the turns, and it's very easy to drive as well. At slow speeds, you can putt around town with ease. The clutch is not that difficult to operate. It's not too heavy, not too light either. But, woo! 400 horsepower doesn't seem like all that much in this day and age of cars, 700 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower and whatnot, but it still feels quick. And there's nothing like the sound of a Ferrari V8. The interior is nice. They actually tend to age well. The leather that Ferrari uses must be a lot stronger than a lot of its exotic competitors because it doesn't tend to fade and crack quite as much as other cars. Because it's rear-wheel drive, the turning radius is actually fantastic in the 360. Also makes it maneuvering around town and in parking lots a lot easier. And it makes throwing it into corners very, very fun. You feel very connected to the road. The suspension is perfect, even over bumps. It doesn't feel harsh in the slightest, but you can feel all four tires gripping and connecting to the road, really communicating what's going on beneath you, something that's lost in a lot of newer cars. Oof. There's nothing like downshifting a gated manual. Woo! Got a bend coming up, downshift. Coming into this review, I wasn't sure how I'd feel about this car. The Ferrari 360 is becoming moderately priced. You can pick them up for 70 to 90 grand all day long. So does that mean they're no longer special? Absolutely not. This is one of the most fun cars I've ever driven. Driving it with the top down and this gated manual, I've had a smile on my face the entire day. As a summary, here are some of the things I love and hate about the Ferrari 360. Of course, gotta love the gated manual. It feels so smooth, and that little clink as you downshift and upshift is one of the most satisfying feelings in the automotive world. Second off, I love that it's extremely user-friendly. It's so much more simple to drive around town and cruise on the back roads than you would think. It's a Ferrari. You'd think it'd be intimidating, but it's not. It's just an absolute breeze to drive fast or slow. Lastly, I've got to go with the looks. The 360 has an absolutely classic design, one of the best that's come out of Pininfarina. Sure, the 430 is sharper in some ways, but to me, the 360 was the ultimate jump from the 355 that launched Ferrari into the new generation. Some of the things I hate about the car. Well, first off, the interior plastics are absolute garbage. This is something that happens in a lot of Ferraris, most actually of the older ones. The plastic melts in the sun, and then it causes it to have this sticky residue all over the interior. I've talked to several 360 and 430 owners, and they all say the same thing. Really, that's the only thing I hate about this car. Sure, the interior is a bit dated, and 400 horsepower isn't all that much. But this is a 2002 Ferrari. It was ahead of its time, and it's exactly what it needs to be. I so much enjoyed reviewing this car. Make sure to follow the owner, Kent of Kentington, on Instagram. This was a blast. Hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you next video.